Just fucking do it. Subscribe now. You're not all supposed to stop talking. That shows, we'll talk about it. That shows insecurity. Well, most of you are insecure, so that's probably why, but that's a whole other story. I wish I could tell you I was happy to see you, but I'm not. I wish that there wasn't such a demand for me right now, which means I haven't made much of a dent on humanity. We're booked up nearly 2 years in advance. We have 299 people that have subscribed, not knowing what the price is for next year. By the way, it's doubling. For any of you that know anything about marketing, supply and demand, you keep raising the price till demand falls off. I guess you don't know much about supply and demand, and that's why you're here. But having just come from Shangri-La, Nepal, I'd like to say that namaste, I haven't changed any. But virtually everybody here will change this week. We have them from 18 years old to 55 years old. The average age is 37. We have a couple of people that have ostensibly some money. Other than that, everybody's dirt poor. Not exactly dirt, but close enough to dirt that I don't have to differentiate. And again, it never ceases to amaze me. The questions. I did a live webinar, or what's it called that I did earlier? Q&A on YouTube, and 75% of the questions, if you took 10 minutes on my website, you could answer. Maybe not even 10 minutes, 5 minutes. And that's why the kids are poor. Why would you get up at 5 in the morning to ask me a question that all you have to do is hit danpeña.co.uk, click one button, and the question's answered? Although I think I'm rather charming, maybe that's why, but other than that. But most of you are here because you're parents, or the lack thereof, the lack of parenting they did. We have some people in the room that revere their parents. I have pity on those people. I won't have any pity this week, but if you love your parents, somebody fucked up. If they love you, somebody fucked up. If love got the fucking job done, you wouldn't be here. If religion got the fucking job done, you wouldn't be here. And who are the two primary things in your life when you're growing up? Normally religion and your family. Correct? There isn't anything else. And they're the two most unreliable benchmarks there are. For the fourth time, we have an alumni for where I went to school, which is nothing to brag about. In fact, the street he lives on. Earlier today, we were discussing, I know the street fairly well, and I told him about near where he lives now. Maybe, how far is Sherman Way and Reseda from there? Half a mile? Yeah. They had bottomless bars back in the day. Bottomless. Not topless bars, those are passé. Bottomless bars, the chicks wore no bottoms. They used to cover their tits, and the girls could squeeze, just like in where's that place that you took me where the girls could knock a ping pong ball out of their snatch? Where was it? Indonesia or where? Thailand. They could take a ping pong ball and they could throw it out of their snatch. I mean, fucking talent. They could pick a dime off a customer's tongue where the lips of their snatch. Now that's fucking talent. But it used to be right near Cal State Northridge. He couldn't believe me when I told him. We used to go up there. A beer was $1.25. What's a beer cost now?
$7.
Oh, Jesus Christ. $7 for watered down beer. But anyway, but they had bottomless bars. Those were the good old days. QLA worked then. QLA works now. In fact, QLA works better now than it does then. And if we go into a worldwide depression, which I'm hoping for, you're going to be like the fifth horseman of the apocalypse. Not raping, I believe in consensual sex, raping, pillaging, and plundering. And sticking your fucking little weenie in any fucking orifice you want. I'm going to say that again slow. And sticking your weenie in any orifice you want. The good old days. Before AIDS. Now this is post-AIDS. When I told the kids in Nepal, packed house of little Nepalese kids, there was only 5 women in the audience. About 400 guys. There was only 2 white faces other than Sally and my own. One guy from Singapore, I believe, and one guy from someplace else. And the little Nepalese kid said, well, what did you do when you were in university? I said, I got fucked a lot. And the kids collapsed. Because in India and those parts of the world, all they want to do is get their willy wet. Because it's against the culture, it's against the religion, it's against this and against that. And I said, all I did is get my willy wet. So I became a god. If I wasn't a cult leader before I went to Nepal, I sure as fuck am now. And for those of you guys that are young, don't kid yourself. All you want to do is get your willy wet. And not catch something. Or catch something that penicillin can cure. But I'm something that penicillin can't cure. Because once I get up your ass, metaphorically speaking, of course, once I get up your ass, I'm there for good. I'm like a virus that you catch when the astronauts go into space and they come back with some shit. I'm that virus that can't be killed. You may decide not to use QLA, but you can never again say you don't know how the game's played. You may decide not to be the conductor of the orchestra and play all the financial instruments. But you can never say you don't know how to, or nobody's ever told you. You may say 3, 4, 5, 6 years from now, QLA didn't work. But in your heart, you know you didn't work. We have teenage phenoms. We have kids going to university and rolling up companies. We have high school kids rolling up companies. And what's your excuse going to be? I want to thank Jason Nagy, who's one of my soon-to-be, I believe, Hall of Famers, who's coming back for a 3rd time, who's done it very successfully. A little slow, but he's from Adelaide, Australia. And I'm not going to go through my Adelaide jokes right now, but if you know anything about Australia, you'd know what I'm talking about. But then you'll ask, well, don't ask me, why did they come back? Because default's a bitch. And as one of the, Peter, your nemesis, said, who's rolling up hospitals, he said, when you're the only warrior on the battlefield, it gets tiring. Now, this is Peter, a little teeny guy who's hardly a warrior, right? But when you're the only warrior on the battlefield, it's a bitch. And that's why so many of the kids come back. And they don't come back, they don't get any discounts or for free or any of that kind of stuff. They come back because they need another dose of Dan, or they need another jolt. Or maybe the virus I stuck up his ass is wearing out because it's been 2 or 3 years. But you're going to have all the opportunity that you ever wanted. And not just because, one of the kids went to school where I went to, because he's the 4th kid in 26 years. Just think of that. We've had more Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Oxford kids than we've had where we went to school, I should say. And there's a reason for that. Of course, I've made more money, I've created more wealth than every fucking alumni that ever graduated from that miserable fucking university you and I share. Every cocksucker, you add them end on end, side by side, dick on dick, and I've created more wealth than the whole fucking alumni of that school. Of course, I can say that about Ivy League schools too, but I don't know the numbers as well. I don't know the numbers as well. Yet the kids still listen to podcasts. The kids still listen to read books. The kids still, and I all call you all kids because I'm either old enough to be your grandfather or father. The kids still because they tell you it's easier. I tell you it's fucking flat impossible when I'm going to teach you what to do. Impossible. Tomorrow morning when we show the class that just before you, July, 4 weeks ago today, I think they graduated. 4 weeks ago today. Already a quarter of them are gone. 4 weeks ago today. Yet one of the kids we're going to talk to in the second or third day is about to do his first deal, and he just got out in July. It all depends, how bad you want it. How bad you want it. Most of you, heretofore, have pretended. As I've said in virtually every seminar, I make this opening speech in the last several years, you've tried everything known to man and failed. Everything known to man and failed. I'm the last saloon in the last town on the edge of the earth and the world is flat. I'm it. This program's it. We give you the processes, the systems, the procedures that aren't working last year or the year before that are working today. You're not getting the best of practices. You're getting the best of best practices that are working today. They're getting money from countries that they say you can't do this in. And this is a debt-driven model. Commercial debt. If you have to go to private equity, you failed. You fucking failed. And in some cases, Jason is a prime example, you don't have to guarantee shit, meaning guarantee with your signature. You don't have to put collateral up. And in many cases, it's non-recourse. Some of you don't even know what I'm talking about, non-recourse. We'll explain it to you during the seminar. But non-recourse means if you fuck it up like everything else you've done in your life, you fucked everything else up. Now, if you fuck it up, you don't have to give the money back. Now, I'm not suggesting you on purpose fuck it up, but in the back of your mind and your subconscious, you're worried about, well, what if I fuck up and then I can't pay the money back and they're going to take my $73,000 house and my $6,000 car and they're going to take, your wife's have no fucking jewelry and so you're not rich enough to buy any diamonds. So what am I going to do? Well, most of you live in apartments anyway, so what the fuck are they going to take away? Josh Kim, only collateral was a 15-speed motherfucking bicycle. He was 17 fucking years old. You should fucking be embarrassed. You should fucking kill yourself. Metaphorically speaking, of course. Because I would never want anybody to kill themselves. Certainly not here, you cocksuckers. 17 years old. What the fuck, guys, other than jacking off on your computer, what the fuck were you doing at 17? I think some of the 47-year-olds are still jacking off on their computer. It's a sad fucking state of affairs. Some of you are here because of Josh Kim. Asian kid, Korean. Looks 9 years old. But you're all here for one main reason. Say a couple of you. A couple of you think you've been successful. I would argue you haven't. You've been successful based on your own benchmarks, not mine. We haven't had a successful person in this seminar based on my benchmarks in 26 motherfucking years. And we've had a lot of them. As I told one of the gentlemen earlier today, if anything else, you're going to raise your expectations, as the rest of the seminar attendees, at least 100-fold. At least 100-fold. One of the things that I've learned over the years, of course I knew this early on, thankfully, you will never overaccomplish or exceed your most wild expectation. If you think you're going to make $1 million, I guarantee you're not going to make $5 million. If you think you're going to make $10 million, I guarantee you're not going to make a fucking $100 million. If you think you're going to make $100 million, I guarantee you're not going to make $1 billion. We do not exceed our most wild expectations. Because if your goal was $100 million, at about 78, 80, 85 million, your subconscious tells you, slow down, kid, slow down. At 88, 90, 92 million, it says, slow down, kid, slow down, we're going to be there. And you barely fall across the goal line with $100,050,000. Fortunately, and I'll tell the story during the seminar, I didn't know what $1 million going up was. I was 21 years old when I found out that there was 7 figures in $1 million. I never heard the word $1 million in my entire life. I was a young officer, 21 years old. Didn't know. Where I come from, they didn't talk about million. They didn't talk about, all they talked about was when their mortgage was going to be paid off so they could have a mortgage burning party. Used to burn your mortgages in a barbecue. And when was the earliest time you could retire with the most money? Oh, that's the only thing anybody ever talked about. To the best of my knowledge, we have no retirement plan. No, I didn't think so. We have no college fund saving for the kids to go, well, they're beyond that now. And I forget about it, I've forgotten about it, but Josh reminded me a few weeks ago. Up until I was 60 years old, seems a long time ago now, 14 years ago, I spent 125% of every fucking dollar I made. That'd be tough for you. If I made $1 million, I spent $1,250,000. If I made $10 million, I spent $12.5 million. If I made $100 million, I spent $125 million. And why did I do that? Because I didn't want any plan B. I wanted no backstop. I wanted no fucking reserve. I was always, as the Europeans would say, in debt. In when I turned 60, Sally and I started downsizing. That's not the exact word, but anyway, we started getting rid of things. Whereas you're just the opposite. Your parents and society has told you to keep 6 months reserves in the bank. Is it still 6 months in the bank? Why? If you're worth a shit, you can get a job in 24 hours. But down deep inside, you know you're not worth a shit. So that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Not only aren't you worth a shit, and you should have rolled down your mama's fat fucking leg instead of being conceived, you got a backup plan for not being worth a shit. What you've been taught, what you've learned, what you've read, what you've studied is the antithesis to creating wealth. If at the end of the seminar you even have any reasonably kind thoughts about me, I didn't do my job. I didn't do my job. Some of you are already thinking you made a mistake. I can just look at your faces. That's good. We've had people quit today, so it wouldn't be a first. Believe me. Just more food for the rest of you to eat. Because we paid for 24 people, right? To eat? 26. Us, okay. And 3 other people aren't here. They're still in transit. But so you won't break my heart. This last year, we've only had one attempted suicide and 3 nervous breakdowns. By the way, for those of you that served in the military, thank you for your service. We keep track of attempted suicide. If you're going to do it, we're going to show you how to do it right. We're going to show you. Nervous breakdowns are a dime a dozen because, 1/3 of you within 6 weeks will either have pneumonia, stressed out, can't walk, can't talk, can't get out of bed. 1/3 of you. Because you've never been under stress, mental stress. We had a guy, a Naval Academy graduate. His kidney shut down. His liver shut down. He was in intensive care. He came that close to death. He wanted success so bad. Just in the last few weeks. And he was 235 pounds of twisted steel and panther piss. And his body collapsed under him. So how are you going to do? Not as well. I tell you all this hoping that some of you will leave tonight. But I'm not exaggerating. I haven't looked at Reddit lately, maybe in a year. But all the Reddit guys are guys that I threw out or quit. They rang the bell, as they would say in SEAL jargon. They rang the bell. And the reason why the mentor program is only 3 months now, soon to be 1 month, is because you don't need it. You use me as a crutch. Use me as a crutch. People ask me, how soon, if you left the seminar today, Dan, how soon would you have the whole deal and have a deal signed? And I go, maximum 30 days. And that's if I, took some time off and went to Nepal. You're going to get a schedule, as they say in this country. How soon you should have your board, how blah, 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 blah. Not based on a figment of my imagination, but based on how soon have the kids done it. 90 days to have a deal, 60 days to have an LOI, 90 days to have the deal closed and funded. And just leading into tomorrow, though, I do believe there are such a thing as stupid questions. If you ask me a fucking question that you should have known the answer because you should have read the material, I gave you a lot of shit to read. Half of you didn't even read any of it. I will rip your motherfucking head off and shit down your neck on public television. I will embarrass you. I will make you look like dog shit. I'm not here to waste my time, and stupid questions waste their time. I won't allow it. Now, normally I would say, well, I'm not tonight. Are there any questions? Because there aren't any. Are we ready? Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, dinner served.